Are reports with taxpayers' money. It's a ticking time bomb. This is an amazingly shocking turn of events for Harry, and it's like the walls are closing in on this idiot, isn't it? And it's about time that he pays the piper.
Today, the final traces of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the British royal family are being erased.
He may be on the hook for $10, $15, $20 million of legal expenses for the Daily Mail. The other charitable stuff is not happening. Centre Barley, he's lost control of it. The Archwell Foundation has effectively been shuttered. All he's got is Invictus.
He knows that in 2027, she wants all eyes on her. She wants the royal family to be at the Invictus Games. And I think that for her, that is crucial, because if we think about it, the Sussexes' only real tangible value is their proximity to the royal family. So if she can kind of be the star of the Invictus Games in 2 years' time, that gives her another 5 years of press, of, deals and money making. So it's all part of a grand plan, I think.
Now, this is a big problem. This is on top of Harry having lost his court case against the Daily Mail. You've got bankruptcy looming with a house that may just get blown into the sea. They can't afford that house. They're living beyond their means. They're ruined.
Prince Harry could be heading toward one of the most expensive moments in his long-running legal battles, and the timing could hardly be more awkward. While questions continue to swirl around his finances, his public image, and Meghan Markle's increasingly separate projects, a major court decision is hanging over him, and the amount being discussed isn't small. Reports have put the potential costs at around £10 million.
Harry has sued the Daily Mail for what he claims to have been unlawful information gathering 15 years ago. Well, it's been thrown out by the judge, and it's likely to cost Harry up to $10 million. It is money that he simply hasn't got.
According to reporting surrounding the High Court proceedings, the publisher of the Daily Mail has sought roughly £10 million in legal costs from Harry and others involved in the case, asking for payment on the indemnity basis. That does not automatically mean the court will award everything being requested, but it represents a potentially brutal financial hit if the ruling goes heavily against his side. The judgment has been reserved, meaning the judge has not yet publicly announced the final decision, and attention is now focused on what could happen around August 28th. But while Harry waits for clarity from London, another story has been developing around Meghan. And this one is about who is showing up, who isn't, and how people reportedly react when plans suddenly change.
Salty Duchess has just managed to get a new word into the Urban Dictionary, and this word I think could sum up quite a lot of what the Sussexes are currently going through. Unsussexful.
Take the Invictus Games one-year countdown event in Birmingham on July 10th. Meghan had been expected to attend, but reports said she pulled out shortly before the event. That left Harry handling the appearances, smiles, conversations and handshakes without her. More strikingly, commentary afterward claimed there was actually a sense of relief among some people behind the scenes when Meghan didn't attend. That claim should be treated as commentary rather than some official verdict from Invictus. Still, even the suggestion is rough optics. Harry has spent years tying his public identity closely to the Invictus Games, while Meghan has regularly appeared beside him at major Invictus events. So when her absence becomes part of the story instead of the event itself, it shows just how closely every move surrounding this couple is being watched. And the pressure doesn't stop there. Harry has also faced a serious dispute involving Centre Barley, the charity he co-founded in memory of Princess Diana, while Meghan's business relationship with Netflix has changed dramatically.
It's a problem, but also let's not forget, Centre Barley is gone, but they're still suing him. So that case coming up for defamation, and won't that be interesting to see if it settles or not?
Reports have also questioned whether some of Harry and Meghan's attempts to build new commercial relationships have delivered the results they wanted. Meanwhile, British polling has repeatedly shown Meghan struggling with public approval. Then there are the marriage rumours. Some royal commentators have gone even further, speculating about what would happen if Harry and Meghan ever separated. There is no confirmed announcement that their marriage is ending, so those claims shouldn't be presented as settled fact. But when legal pressure, business setbacks, charity disputes, public criticism, and separate appearances all hit around the same period, people are naturally going to connect the dots, fairly or not. and that brings everything back to the High Court. During proceedings at the Royal Courts of Justice in late July, Mr. Justice Nicklin reserved judgment. In simple terms, the arguments were heard, but the decision was not immediately delivered publicly. That leaves Harry in an uncomfortable waiting game.
The judge in this case, a man called Matthew Nicklin, was the same judge who dismissed Harry's case against the Mail on Sunday, the negotiations at Sandringham protection, and said that Harry had lied in his statement in that case. So he had form of not being, so to speak, enthralled to the royal family. Now, Harry has lost now 2 cases in front of Nicklin. He's not going to risk a...
Harry is done. Can you expand on that?
He's tarnished by losing a case which has cost them at least £50 million in costs. For Harry now, it's down.
The publisher has made its position clear. Millions of pounds could potentially be involved, and until the ruling is formally revealed, nobody outside the process should pretend the final number is guaranteed. But Harry isn't the only recognisable name caught up in this legal fight. And once you look at who else is involved, the scale of the battle becomes much clearer. The financial pressure gets even more serious once you look beyond that headline figure, because the roughly £10 million being discussed may only represent part of the potential damage. And before Harry can fully move on to the next stage of this legal battle, the costs issue still has to be dealt with. During the proceedings, the publisher's lawyers reportedly pushed for an interim payment of around £10 million within 14 days, while Harry's side proposed approximately £8 million. His legal team also accepted that a costs order would follow the result. That doesn't mean every penny being demanded will automatically be awarded, but it does show that some level of payment is expected after the claims were dismissed.
Isn't a laundry in the cosmos to wash all the dirty linen he has aired about his own family?
I mean, Harry just gave him a playbook. The Daily Mail just wants to throw the book at him, and I understand why.
For him to complain about his privacy being invaded takes not just the biscuit, but the whole tin. Poor Harry. I feel sorry for the way a confused and angry young man has been drawn into this.
Then came the figure that really raised eyebrows. The overall costs being discussed reportedly reached approximately £35 million. According to arguments heard in court, that total was around £19 million higher than the budget previously approved by the court. Even Harry's own barrister, Nicholas Bacon KC, reportedly described the numbers as eye-watering and astonishingly high, while arguing that the publisher was effectively trying to go for the jugular. And that is where the math becomes uncomfortable. Reports indicated that the 7 claimants collectively had roughly £16 million in insurance coverage. If the eventual costs remained anywhere near the amount being sought, that could potentially leave a huge portion not covered by insurance. Exactly how that burden would be divided is another question.
Always a winner in these court cases, and it's nearly always the barristers involved, isn't it? We understand that Prince Harry and others who brought this case, they're being basically funded by insurance that's covering their case. So a lot of these insurance companies have in the past, well, not in this.
And it would be misleading to suggest Harry personally owes the entire amount. But there is clearly serious money at stake. The publisher was also vocal after its victory, saying the litigation had consumed more than £50 million in legal costs overall and taken up a significant amount of court time. The case involved 97 allegations, and Mr. Justice Nicklin ultimately dismissed them in his July 7th judgment. Then came one line from the judge that made the situation especially clear. Nicklin said, "They are going to be paying a sum of money that I will confirm in the judgment."
The other issue is what it means for him and Meghan, because she's not going to be happy that he's picked this fight with the Daily Mail and once again lost. And she's going to suffer because the two of them are now even more.
That wording matters. The question isn't simply whether there will be costs to pay, but what amount the court ultimately considers appropriate and how responsibility will be allocated among the people involved. And Harry was far from alone in taking this fight to court. He was one of 7 claimants, alongside some extremely recognisable names: Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Sir Elton John and his husband David Furnish, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost and Sir Simon Hughes.
We'll cover those costs. Will Elton John in the end pay for the whole lot? I don't know if Harry has any money. If he does, is it the last of his mother's inheritance?
Could be up to $10 million. If any number of millions is money Harry hasn't got.
I don't think Harry has any money at the moment. I really don't. I've heard that he's trying to drum up another Netflix series of some kind. I know he's lost his contract with them, but he needs to find some cash from somewhere, especially now, today of all.
Every one of them became part of the same major legal defeat when the claims were dismissed. That makes this much bigger than a simple story about Prince Harry getting hit with one massive personal invoice. There are 7 claimants, insurance coverage, competing arguments over costs, and potentially millions of pounds still being disputed. The final judgment on costs will determine just how painful that financial fallout becomes. But Harry's involvement carries another layer because his finances have already been picked apart publicly for years. Every major legal expense immediately gets compared with his royal inheritance, his California lifestyle, and the commercial deals he and Meghan have pursued since leaving royal duties. For now, though, the most important number remains unknown. Exactly how much Harry himself will ultimately have to pay once the court finishes dividing up the consequences. One detail makes this legal mess even more complicated. The court is not necessarily treating this as 7 completely separate financial battles. The costs issue involves all 7 claimants, with the eventual burden still needing to be worked out between them. That means Prince Harry isn't the only person waiting to discover exactly what this defeat could cost. And look at the names involved. Baroness Doreen Lawrence is among them, alongside Sir Elton John, David Furnish, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, and Sir Simon Hughes. Until the cost decision is fully settled, the precise financial impact on each individual remains uncertain.
He didn't get that. This is a total destruction of his case and I believe his reputation today. The problem I've got with him is he keeps on trying to destroy other people's lives. This idea that he wanted to destroy them is quite shocking to me.
Doreen Lawrence's involvement makes the situation particularly sensitive. For decades, she has campaigned for justice and police reform following the death of her son, Stephen Lawrence, becoming one of Britain's most respected campaigners in the process. So this isn't simply celebrity courtroom drama. The consequences potentially reach several people whose public lives and reputations are completely different from Harry's. Then Harry made another move that became part of the costs argument. After the judgment, he publicly described the ruling as a complete and obvious whitewash. Roughly 10 days later, the publisher's barrister reportedly brought that statement before the court and characterized it as wholly inappropriate and unreasonable, while arguing over costs. Now, that doesn't prove Harry's statement increased anybody's final bill. The judge decides the costs, and it would be speculation to claim one public comment automatically added millions to the total. But the fact that the statement was specifically raised during arguments over.
I don't really know what to say, but I think the sooner he goes back to Montecito, the better. But I don't think he's going to get a very good welcome there from his wife when she, wherever she is at the moment, because she'll be pretty angry about the verdict, won't she?
Cost shows why Harry's reaction mattered. His decision to keep publicly challenging the outcome became another point for the opposing side to use. Meanwhile, something very different was happening around the Invictus Games. On July 10th, Birmingham marked the 1-year countdown to the Games. Meghan had reportedly been expected to participate but cancelled shortly beforehand, leaving Harry to attend without her. Commentary surrounding the event later suggested some organisers felt more comfortable with Harry appearing alone because attention could remain firmly on the veterans. Again, that reported reaction shouldn't be treated as an official statement from everybody connected to Invictus. But the timing becomes interesting when you look at what was happening commercially around the Games. ATCO had been announced as an international flag partner in late May. Then came the Birmingham Countdown event on July 10th, without Meghan. Just 3 days later, Land Rover was announced as an official automotive partner and presenting partner of wheelchair rugby.
Games were hosted in September 2023 by the city of Dusseldorf, Germany, alongside the Invictus Games Foundation. The only involvement of Canada was to help fund the veterans go there. but that's it, British Columbia government, to provide the full unredacted reports. And this includes almost $11 million in expenses allocated towards Harry and Meghan. Why was Meghan getting almost $6.7 million in expenses?
Deloitte was already involved as an official partner, while Boeing had an existing multi-year relationship with the Invictus Games Foundation, extending into 2027. Those details matter because they complicate the idea that major companies were simply abandoning Harry or Invictus. The Birmingham Games are expected to bring together around 25 nations and roughly 550 competitors, with approximately 150,000 attendees anticipated across the event. Reported participation has also increased significantly compared with the previous year. So while Harry's courtroom situation looks increasingly expensive and uncertain, Invictus tells a very different story. Whatever criticism surrounds Harry and Meghan personally, the organisation connected most closely to Harry continues attracting corporate partnerships and international participation. And that creates a strange split in his public life. One side is dominated by lawyers, disputed costs, and a major courtroom defeat, while the other still has companies willing to put their names and money behind the project he represents. That sponsor timeline creates a much more complicated picture than the idea that companies were supposedly rushing away from Invictus. Meghan missed the Birmingham Countdown event, yet within days another major corporate name was attached to the Games. That doesn't prove her absence caused the deal, of course, but it does challenge the argument that Invictus needs Harry and Meghan together in the room to attract serious attention.
Mark Dolan Show has invented the MMV. What is that? It is the Meghan mind virus. And if Harry comes back to England, he'll be cured of it. That's why King Charles is so excited at the prospect of getting Harry back without Megs. So this is very interesting.
£9 million was given by the government. He is supposed to match or exceed that. He, again, as we all know, $4 million has been raised, and that trip to England was not successful. He did not reel in a major sponsor like Boeing. He did not really get any more money than he already had. In fact, it was just a disaster on every level except for the personal level.
For years, Harry and Meghan's celebrity has been treated as one of their biggest assets. Cameras follow them, headlines appear almost instantly, and organisations connected to them often receive enormous publicity. But Invictus may now be demonstrating something important. The Games have developed an identity that can operate beyond the Sussex brand. And Harry's actual position inside the organisation is worth understanding. People sometimes talk as though Harry personally controls the Invictus Games Foundation, or could simply be removed from its board. But Harry is not listed as a trustee. He doesn't hold a conventional board seat or vote on every financial decision simply because he founded the Games. The people with formal responsibility are different. The Invictus Games Foundation lists Lord Alan of Kensington as chairman and Rob Owen as chief executive. Meanwhile, the Birmingham 2027 operation has its own leadership structure, including Vicky Gosling as chair and Helen Helliwell as chief executive. That distinction matters. Harry remains the founder and highly recognisable public face of Invictus, but being the face of an organisation isn't the same thing as controlling its contracts, finances, venues or daily operations. And once you follow the money, the structure becomes even clearer.
In mind that Harry's not named in any of the legal documents for Invictus Games Foundation UK or in any of the little grifts that he has going, either in British Columbia, in Dusseldorf, even the one in the UK.
Obviously, Harry's the problem. Everyone said it. Everyone knows it except for Harry. It doesn't matter, though.
Paula, it seems that when it comes to Invictus's problems, Harry is at the heart of that. You know, Harry made Invictus, and somehow he's the guy that's breaking it.
Earlier this year, a written parliamentary answer confirmed that the UK government had agreed significant financial backing for the Birmingham Games, around £26 million. Part of that arrangement was designed to protect delivery of the event if commercial sponsorship failed to reach the necessary level. That shouldn't automatically be interpreted as officials expecting Harry to fail. Large international events often involve government support and financial safeguards because organisers have to plan years ahead. But it does show that Invictus Birmingham isn't financially dependent on Harry personally finding enough sponsors. In fact, public and charitable funding has been part of the Invictus story since the beginning. When the Games launched in 2014, approximately £500,000 reportedly came through the Royal Foundation's Endeavour Fund. Another roughly £1 million came from money generated through fines imposed on banks following financial misconduct. Those funds helped provide the foundation for what would eventually become an international sporting event.
Some people have wrongly claimed that Harry has to, or the Invictus Games Foundation has to raise £26 million in order for them to get the 26 million that the UK government offered. That is an absolute lie.
So while Harry absolutely played a major role in creating and promoting Invictus, describing the entire operation as something personally financed or controlled by him would miss a huge part of the story. The Games grew through a combination of charitable backing, public support, corporate partnerships, government involvement, staff, trustees, organisers, athletes and volunteers. 12 years later, that structure is far bigger than one royal founder. And that may actually be Invictus's greatest protection right now.
UK government made a commitment to give them up to £26.6 million for the Birmingham 2027 Invictus Games. And it's structured as a financial underwrite. What does that mean? It means that if Harry can't, or if Invictus Games Foundation can't fundraise the amount they need in order to host the games in Birmingham, then the government has assured them £26.6 million.
In Paula, we can't exaggerate this. In terms of branding, no Invictus, no Harry.
It's harsh, but the issue is Invictus needs oversight. Somebody needs to be able to look at people and say, this is where your money goes. This is why we need £60 million for 500 people to play some games. Instead of saying, like the Department of Defense in the US does, we do it for $2 to $3 million every.
Whatever happens with Harry's legal battles, finances, popularity, or marriage speculation, the organisation has leadership and funding mechanisms that exist separately from his personal life. Harry helped build the platform, but today he is only one part of a much larger machine. The contrast becomes much harder to ignore when you compare the financial protection surrounding Invictus with the uncertainty surrounding Harry personally. The Birmingham Games have major institutional backing if sponsorship falls short. Harry's legal costs, on the other hand, are a completely different matter, and nobody should assume there is a similar safety net waiting for him. Questions have also been raised about how successful Harry's recent sponsorship push actually was.
Now, Invictus is a problem because, like it was with Sentabali, his personal brand and him and Meghan are impeding fundraising for Invictus. So he did come this summer. Part of the reason, one of the biggest reasons, was to help raise money for Invictus, as we all know.
Journalist Paula Froelich has claimed Birmingham secured around £4 million commercially from roughly 11 sponsors, while the government commitment connected to the Games is around £26 million. Those figures have fueled criticism that Harry's celebrity hasn't necessarily translated into the level of private sponsorship some expected. But that criticism needs context. Government backing doesn't automatically mean Harry personally failed to raise enough money, nor does every sponsorship negotiation depend on him. Invictus is run by a larger organisation with executives and commercial teams. Still, when Harry travels to Britain, attends promotional events and remains the game's most famous ambassador, his ability to attract financial support naturally becomes part of the conversation.
These are reports with taxpayers' money. It's a ticking time bomb. This is an amazingly shocking turn of events for Harry, and it's like the walls are closing in on this idiot, isn't it? And it's about time that he pays the piper.
Then there are the Foundation's accounts. Commentators examining the numbers have pointed to an interesting shift. Income reportedly increased by roughly 40% in 1 year, while cash reserves climbed to approximately £2.3 million. At the same time, reported funding reaching veterans organisations dropped substantially, from just over £500,000 to around £200,000. That doesn't automatically mean money disappeared. or was improperly redirected. Charities can have changing expenses, reserves, programs, and funding commitments from year to year. But the contrast has generated questions about exactly where the money is being allocated and how the organisation's priorities are changing. Froelich has also criticised what she sees as a lack of transparency, saying, "We don't know how it really operates," while pointing to documents containing redactions. And then Meghan's role enters the conversation again. Tom Bower's book reportedly described concerns from former Invictus Games Foundation Chief Executive Dominic Reed, who led the organisation for more than a decade. According to Bower's account, Reed worried that the event was becoming too heavily focused on Harry and Meghan rather than its original mission.
What you described about Buckingham Palace's detailed breakdown is actually a matter of a breakdown of trust. The point about Harry was, can we trust him? And because of all the briefing and the reversals and all the somersaults, what they're really saying is, we cannot deal with this. We don't trust.
What a solution.
Go on.
If Harry ceases to be involved in the Invictus Games, all the sponsors will be back. Just imagine if Sir David Beckham was the head of the Invictus.
Oh, wow.
It'll be bigger than the World Cup. Similarly, what about the amazing Mike Tyndall if he was the head of Invictus? They will literally, and Airbus. All of those guys will be.
The Invictus Games Foundation strongly rejected those claims, describing them as disgusting and deeply disrespectful, while Harry's representatives also attacked Bower's portrayal. So this remains a disputed account, not an established description of what happened behind closed doors. Still, Meghan missing the Birmingham countdown inevitably revived that debate, especially because the event continued attracting sponsorship afterward. Beyond Invictus, Harry and Meghan have faced pressure elsewhere too. Harry's relationship with Centrebelly deteriorated dramatically following his departure from the charity, leading to an extraordinary public dispute. His continued involvement with African parks has also faced scrutiny. Their entertainment business has changed as well. Their Netflix relationship moved away from the kind of broad exclusive arrangement they previously held toward a more limited first-look structure. Reports have separately raised questions about Netflix's financial involvement with Meghan's lifestyle brand.
See who are the trustees in that. Let's see if Prince Harry's name is there. Of course, Prince Harry's name is not there, which means that anything that's shady, he's not legally responsible, even if it gets millions of pounds in funds. So far, the UK government has given them £3,339,779.
Put together, the picture isn't that every Sussex project has suddenly collapsed. That would be an exaggeration. It is that several parts of the business and charitable network Harry and Meghan built after leaving royal duties have either changed, contracted, or become surrounded by controversy. And that brings the story right back to Harry's court bill. Invictus has institutional protection worth millions if its commercial funding falls short. Harry may soon discover that his own legal fight offers far less protection, with potentially £8 million to £10 million being discussed before the final costs are settled. But there is one final twist here, because despite the courtroom defeat, the financial pressure, and months of negative headlines, Harry's public standing in Britain has shown something Meghan's hasn't. Signs that it can still move upward. Polling released by YouGov in July reportedly put Harry's positive rating at around 33%, an increase of several points compared with an earlier reading. That came during a period when his legal problems were dominating headlines, which makes the movement especially interesting. It certainly doesn't mean Britain has suddenly embraced Harry again, but it suggests his reputation may not be completely locked in place.
Also, he has Africa Parks, let's not forget that, which he refuses to step down from, despite proven allegations of rangers raping members of the Baka tribe. So he's just saying, no, everyone will forget about that, which is why I like to just bring it up every single time.
And royal commentators immediately started looking at one possible explanation: his renewed contact with King Charles. Harry's relationship with his father has been strained for years, but even limited signs of reconciliation can change the conversation around him. Instead of another interview, another accusation, or another public family dispute, the story becomes Harry reconnecting with his father. That is a completely different image. Whether one meeting actually caused a polling increase is impossible to prove. Public opinion moves for plenty of reasons, and correlation isn't confirmation. But politically and publicly, the direction still matters because Meghan's numbers have remained considerably weaker in Britain. Some polling has placed Meghan's positive rating in the low 20s, with other readings reportedly dropping as low as roughly 20%.
Starting to look, and you know as well as I do, that those veterans are total heroes. Heroes in their public service, risking their lives to stand up for Western freedoms. Heroes again in this amazing sporting endeavour. So we love the veterans. But Invictus itself now, it's just become quite a tainted brand. And I wonder whether Harry is the problem. He may be on the hook for $10, $15, $20 million of legal expenses for the Daily Mail. The other charitable stuff is not happening. Centre Barley, he's lost control of it. The Archwell Foundation has effectively been shuttered. All he's got is Invictus.
Again, polls change depending on timing and methodology, but the broader pattern has consistently shown Harry performing better than Meghan with the British public. That creates an uncomfortable possibility for the couple. If Harry genuinely wants to rebuild relationships in Britain, reconnect with his family, and spend more time around the institutions he once walked away from, he may have a path available to him. But there is no guarantee Meghan would receive the same welcome. And there is certainly no confirmed evidence that Harry intends to abandon his marriage to make that happen. Still, look at where everything now stands. Invictus continues moving toward Birmingham 2027 with government backing, major partners, approximately 25 participating nations, and hundreds of competitors expected. Harry remains its famous founder, but the organisation has leadership and financial structures capable of functioning beyond him. At the same time, his personal situation looks far less predictable. His legal defeat could carry a huge price tag. His relationship with Centre Barley has fallen apart publicly. His commercial world with Meghan has changed significantly, and speculation about their future continues following them everywhere. Yet somehow, after all of that, Harry may still have something valuable left: the possibility of repairing part of his relationship with Britain and the royal family.
Aim for everything the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, try to do, but it always goes belly.
Take it with a pinch of salt and question it, because as always with the Sussexes, and in particular Meghan, who is pathologically transactional, nothing happens by accident. So this issue comes amid continuing speculation about the separate professional lives being pursued by Harry and...
Whether he actually takes that road is another story entirely. So what do you think? Is Harry slowly building a separate future in Britain, or are people reading far too much into a few meetings, polls, and public appearances? Drop your take in the comments, because this story definitely isn't finished. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, share this video with someone who follows celebrity and royal drama, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. There's also another video waiting for you on the screen right now, so click that next for even more celebrity drama, controversies, and stories making headlines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.